Hello, everybody. Welcome to Raising Vibrations with Simon today. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the new moon in Scorpio. And this is for the 14th, 15th of November, 2020. So I hope that you are all well when you're listening to this, and at least in a place where you're finding some sanity in the current wave of Pluto and Jupiter's conjunction. And by this time, the 15th of November, Mars would have moved into direct motion. So lots to talk about in this video today. Before I jump into talking about this material, there's a couple of things that I want to share. Firstly, myself and Jen, we've created some content to support you in the road to the Great Conjunction that's taking place on the 21st of December. 2020, and that looks like an article on our website, which I'll post a link to, and also on YouTube there's a playlist that includes this video of the Pluto Jupiter conjunction, the Mars direct aspect or movement, and it is part of a playlist called The Road to Great Conjunction. And there are the purpose of creating the content in this way is to give us landmarks of key transits that are supporting us towards that point, okay? And I explained this in the introduction video as well as the other two videos as well. This is an embodiment process. Between now and the end of the year, this is lights, cameras, action, right? Everybody has been building a stage for themselves to be on, and the curtain is now being opened. This will occur progressively towards the end of the year. And it's your invitation to step onto your stage and to embody your truth, right? Now, while I say that, this is not an invitation, right? Because I'm speaking to anybody all over the world that can interpret it differently. This is not an invitation to see this as a opportunity to say what you have to say in disregard for another person, okay? This is about the attunement to your truth, and it's about what that truth means to you, okay? What does it mean individually to you? What does it mean in terms of your experience of your own psyche? What does it mean in terms of your experience of your own soul-making experience, life and path? And it is an invitation into deeper layers of self-understanding, okay? However, it will be very clear between now and the end of the year of everybody standing up on the stage and almost in a sense kind of telling everybody else what they need to be doing on their stage, right? So there's a double-sidedness to this energy. And what these videos are intended to do is to encourage you to see the middle road in this process, which is not to move to the left, not to move to the right, but to stay centered in your own exploration of what that vision is for you and what does it mean to encompass that in the heart. So I mean, when I say the heart, I mean living in attunement with your resonance, with your space, your vision of reality, as it were. And how do you progressively begin to align with people who resonate with you, that are like-minded, that are on a similar agenda to you or seeking similar things? And it's about attunement to that. Okay, so this entire collection of energy, this new moon, this Mars-Jupiter, Mars direct, Jupiter conjunct Pluto, Neptune going direct, the lunar eclipses and solar eclipses that are going to be happening, all of those energies are peak experiences for us to step into the embodiment of our truth. And it is literally a judgment day kind of experience, right? We get to really see ourselves in full light. And yeah, this is a big time, okay? We've all been waiting for this moment of 2020 to be able to get to a point where we can actually feel what has matured in us and what we have invested our time and energy into and how that's matured us exactly, and how we've grown in ways. Okay. So let's jump into the chart. Let's look at this this new moon in Scorpio, right? The first thing that popped out to me when I saw this chart was the 23-degree aspect and the relationship to Neptune. That speaks a lot to what I see, sense as part of this energy. The fact that there is also the Mercury that is connecting to the Chiron, so there's something there as well. And if you notice within this chart, what I'm highlighting is Neptune's role in relation to the nodes. And if you have been watching the previous videos, the Mars direct and the Jupiter Pluto direct, which I encourage you to watch first, you will see that I talk about these nodes in and give them a lot of importance, because it's very important to see the context of these nodes. So just to summarize it quickly, these nodes are immutable signs. So there is a sense of mutation that is occurring, and the what's the word? The relationship to the south node with Neptune is where the attention is. And if you've been following my videos, you know that Neptune is the resolution of the skip step, in other words, the planet here. So it's telling us to be mindful, pay attention to, observe the patterns emerging from the past and what those patterns represented to us and why they were in play, and then how we can move beyond them. But by the time this new moon actually hits, this is spiritual transformation, right? This is not, okay, yes, let's go do that. It's already Jupiter direct on Pluto. It's already Mars direct. So this resolution itself is beyond the like delving into it. It's the actual awakenings and awarenesses and insights that will flood through and permeate your consciousness. So that's why when I looked at this Sun Moon conjunction and its relationship to the trine to Neptune, it was sudden downloads. It was like the Maya, as it were, was opening up. And we have this profound capacity to sense, feel what is just beyond the scope of the physical world, right? We can tap into the unconscious, we can tap into dream states or different states and have access to what is actually occurring behind the scenes. So the Scorpio energy over here is very, very much about breaking through the surface. So this energy is piercing and exposing, right? It's piercing and exposing. And what is it piercing and exposing? Well, it's a few things. It's bringing to light the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, okay? And again, I discussed that in length on purpose. That's specifically about that energy. And it's exposing that. So it's revealing to us the message held in that energy. And it is also bringing forth the capacity to heal the past. It's bringing forth the capacity to tune into experiences and events that have been taking place in our lives and look at them as exactly that, as cultural difference, as diverse energies interfacing with each other and trying to find integration and not finding integration, looking at all of the complexity of human life and observing it, and then releasing deeper unconscious patterns of emotional feelings that are of a negative tone, right? That weigh you down. So this is about stepping into a place, experiencing the Mars direct, which is the commitment to something new, which I talk about in the Mars direct video. And it is the reinforcement of that energy. And when I say the reinforcement of that energy, I mean that when we make that commitment with the Mars direct, which literally happens 2 days before this new moon, you step into a space in which you really, really, really transcend the limitations. You really transcend all of the weight that you've been carrying, right? You move beyond these states and you allow yourself to dissolve the past. You allow yourself to let go of what no longer works. You allow yourself to recognize the importance of the role that it gave you while you were on that journey, and that it's a moving forward pattern. That is what the Neptune wants us to do. Or let me put it this way. Neptune as an archetype, as I've talked about it in different ways, is the energy of decay. And in the human experience, that decay will look like a complete loss of meaning, a complete absence of spirit. And so when you look at an abandoned house, or if you go into the internet and you look at abandoned, what's those, like theme parks, you'll see that the sound of noise of people experiencing joy and excitement and happiness in that theme park is completely absent. And it's got this eeriness to it, right? There's no life there. That's Neptune. So when we go through states of Neptunian dynamics, what we experience is the spirit essentially leaving, and it leaves the physical, and in that sense it also loses life, right? So the spirit leaves in that way, and that will obviously manifest originally from the Pluto archetype, in which it just hits the kill switch, and the loss occurs, and then from then onwards spirit disappears from that said matter. So this is about the complete metamorphosis of and transition of states between something that had meaning, that had life, that was the journey, and now letting that finally go because it no longer is alive to you. It is no longer alive to you in any ways. And it's about being able to now orientate and really commit to something new. So there's commitment here. And the new moon energy initiates a cycle of commitment processes. Okay. So this is not like, okay, I'm going to commit. It is Mars direct, attunement, new moon in Scorpio, connection, commitment. Okay. This is what I'm going to move progressively towards and osmose with more. And Scorpio as an archetype, as I talked about in the first video, the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, Scorpio-Pluto is vulnerability. Okay, it's vulnerability at its core. Vulnerability is held there because all of our defenses, all of our protections, all of our things that we use to protect ourselves from death are removed with Scorpio. And that's why whenever you sort of experience scorpionic transits, it will be labeled as like the dark night of the soul, right? Because you have to shed layers of yourself or illusions of self. So this is another thing here. As we experience the sensitivity of profound universal insight that permeates from the Neptunian realm, okay, we will also at the same time witness the capacity of a decaying ego that no longer gives you life. So the cycle is about regeneration. And the regeneration process is the commitment to the thing that feels like meaning. It feels like you can, if you're aligned with it, that the spirit was permeating you, So where are you alive? Where do you feel alive? That would be something that would be part of this energy. And what's important to recognize with this over here, with this this energy that's held within the Scorpio dynamic, is that we're going to also interface with restriction. Okay. And why do I say that? Because the energy held within Jupiter and Saturn, and then the South Node, so the Pluto Jupiter rules the South Node. We've just had a Pluto Jupiter conjunction, so therefore that South Node is deeply conditioned by those energies. And then, of course, we have Saturn sitting in Capricorn at 27 degrees, but it's still in a completion phase to Jupiter. Jupiter is still completing itself to Saturn. So there's a complete transmutation of that energy, but the Jupiter Pluto is the transmutation, right? And the shift in perspective. But now we're going to experience the interface between lingering structures and the ordinary world, and you as the transformed self. And I talked about this in the Mars in Aries direct video, that when we go through the heroine's journey or the hero's journey, and we leave the ordinary world to pick up the experience of the destiny that we're going to ultimately transmute through or transform through, when we come back to the original world, we are transformed, the world isn't. And so we have to bring those gifts and assimilate and integrate them into this context of the society. So by nature, there's going to be a natural conflict, and that's reflected through the Mercury quincunxing the Chiron, and that Venus at 22 degrees squaring that over there. And finally, the Jupiter-Pluto closing phase. So Venus in relationship to Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter, that square, that energy is an individuating energy. So it speaks to the necessary need to, or the impulse to transcend the limitations of the old, right? So you'll feel your values in relation to everything else. You will notice it wherever you feel resistance to and restriction that's like pushing back at you. Question that. Question the nature of that reality. It's also going to give you a deeper insight into how you have transformed in relation to the old structure. So resistance and restriction are part of this energy. That will lead to a confrontation. That confrontation will lead to a deep psychological and emotional mutation within the self. In other words, realizing where there are limitations that need to be grown out of. So the impulse with Venus will support that. And the Chiron in conjunct the Mercury is that we won't see that as we sort of step into new directions or new experiences that are, wildly different to the old, we will experience a kind of mental structure that will say, maybe I'm doing it wrong, maybe it's not right, or what happens if, is this the right way? So there's this kind of doubt element that shows up. And what you want to do with this energy, of course, is to just be mindful of the fact that in a structure, and I would encourage any one of you that when you do come up against these types of dynamics, to remember the process of the heroine's and hero's journey, okay? And that you stepped out of the ordinary world because you knew that there was a calling. You went to explore that, and now you're returning back to that same world, but you were the one that transmuted. So you're bringing something new internally with you, but the old world still has its paradigm. And so there's a natural restriction and a natural friction and a natural conflict dynamic that will occur. So when your mind says, nope, you know what, I realized that, no, this is not working, that's an invitation by Chiron to whisper in your ear and say, hey, no, it is the right thing. This is where you get to see yourself in a completely new way. So it's like this environmental feedback pattern that will occur with Mercury in relation to Chiron. And we want to be recognizing that sense of feeling safe and, wanting to hold into an old pattern, but realizing that we've stepped over a threshold and we've transmuted something in a very profound way. And now it's about pioneering and exploring that in a way that's not been done before. So the Moon Sun conjunction in Scorpio throughout the cycle. In other words, when we look at the new moon, we always consider that it's an entire evolutionary cycle, right? So when you got to see it this way, in the sense that sets in motion the context of this chart, right? So this is a process of moving through experiences where the old meets the new, and there's a conflict dynamic that will take place. And what you want to be doing in terms of the energies of the pattern here is to just be mindful of what aligns with the core value and truth and what does not. Give more attention to the energies, not the energies, but the what you have enhanced in yourself, what you have found compatible within yourself, what you have found interesting and we want to explore within yourself, and this new direction, this new place that you have come to in yourself. You want to give more space for that to nurture and grow. Okay. And then when you do meet against any restriction, recognize that is new meeting the old, and it's a natural phenomena where those old patterns will, eventually subside as you begin to interact with them and see them just as the old. Okay. And you just like with this energy here, right? That energy over there, it just allows for that sense of transcendence. It allows for, and when I say transcendence, I don't mean as in to escape the physical and access some blah, blah, blah states. No, what I mean is the ability to see beyond the limitation as an invitation to go inside for yourself and then integrate your new self into the world. So you transcend the perceptual limitation every single one of us right now with that Venus and that Jupiter and that Pluto Saturn is going to feel some form of restriction in some way. And as it forces you in on yourself, then when it forces you in yourself, you want to look at that relationship to that restriction and see where you may be holding on to something that you want to move forward with, but it actually is saying this is the end of the line, right? So it's like the train that reaches the end of the line on a specific track. And the intention here is that the track is changing, and you want to be sensitive and aware and recognizing what your core values are, so that when the choice comes to when you are making decisions to align with the track that doesn't have the dead end anymore, you will feel more freedom and fluidity in your process. Okay, so that's something that's really cool with this energy. The last thing that I want to say just before we end off today's call with this new moon energy is, well, actually, there's a few things. Take out your astrology chart, okay, and look at where these things are landing in your chart, right? So if you've got Mars sitting in your third house as an example, look at what patterns of communication, look at what patterns of relationship to your siblings, how has that been transforming for you? How has Mars in the 11th house been shifting your perspective on what types of friends or what types of groups you would like to associate with? Think about Mars in the 7th house, how I've been working through readjusting balance with the implication of, or the implementing the boundaries for yourself, so that you're not feeling like you're either being taken too much advantage of by allowing it to be the case, or feeling very isolated by not wanting to open up, as an example. So it's take your chart, look at where this Mars transit is, look at where the Jupiter transit is, and then synthesize what I've shared with you. And in summary, it is, where do you see the transmutation with Mars and Jupiter Pluto, and how can you recommit, or not recommit, but how can you begin to osmose and merge with this new self? How can you give more power to it? How do you rebirth and recharge the spirit held in that new insight that's going to come through and flood through your awareness? Okay, super important. So that you at least use your time here with these videos and make sense of it. Okay, so a couple of things. First, I've talked about this in previous videos. I highly encourage you to go watch them. I also encourage you to watch the other videos that are part of this playlist. The next video that will come out won't be now. It will be in a few days after this new moon. So watch the playlist. It's in this video. The link to the playlist is over there. And our article on our website, where we've written pretty much similar what we've done over there. So for those of you that like to read, our Patreon community what we've done is we've put specific dates on where we're going to create a private call, and people can join, our community can join, and we'll process more about what this energy means for us and how we're moving and shifting closer to this great conjunction. And what does it mean for us to embody all of these different aspects, these final pieces between now and the end? Okay, so that's something that's there and available. And I wanted to share with anybody, if anybody is interested, or let me put it to you this way: we've created Metamorphosis 2021. And it is on our website. I'll put a link in the description. It is an entire year program that is specifically designed to guide you and synthesize your psyche or soul awareness towards your natal chart. So we do this every single year, and we take a limited amount of people that I journey with for the entire year, and it's called the Metamorphosis process. We are just in the completion phases of Metamorphosis 2020. It's been an incredibly profound transition, and each year brings a different theme. So on our website, I'll put the link there. You can go check out what the Metamorphosis is, an entire year's program of meetings and sessions with me, and we go through your entire chart. So if you'd like to invest in an entire year's work with myself, we have a program that's like that, and it's on our website. All right, and I'll link that there. We're really excited about doing 2021's Metamorphosis as well. Okay, All right, peeps, have an amazing day, and I'll see you in another video. Take care.